Yes, people. What's going on? Is Eagle Talks Football. We're back again with another video. And today's video is a good one. It's a panel show. We got 4 Gooners. And you know what? This channel is not an echo chamber. There's a lot of people out there, no shots at anybody specifically, but there's a lot of channels out there. They like to only have people with the similar opinion of themselves. And I don't like to do that here. I like to bring people with many different opinions. And if you don't like it and you're the faint of heart and you only like to think one way, try to broaden your horizons and take in this conversation, because it's going to be two sides of every a little bit of every bit of Gooner right there. You got some people who are going to be very happy and getting carried away, saying we're going to win the league, and you got people who are still very calm and saying there's warning signs we need to worry about. So let's get into today's show. We just beat Manchester City, and today is basically an open topic. The topic is beating Manchester City today is more than 3 points. And when I say that, you guys know what I mean. So we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the granular repercussions of winning this game and what it could mean for our season. And Northside, I know you hate it, but I got a couple stats and the field tilt and all that stuff. We're going to have to talk about it. We're going to have to talk about it. So before we go any further, big up to everyone in the comment section. We just beat Manchester City, and I want to show you guys some statistics, because these statistics, they make it seem like we bossed the game. I don't know if you guys seen the stats, but these stats make it seem like we actually bossed the game, because Man City, we held them to 2 shots on target. We held them to 4 shots in total. We held Erling Haaland to 0 shots in the 90 minutes. And when it comes to attack, guess what? Both attacks were not at their best, but we didn't want Man City's attack at their best. And that's just one side of the coin. You look at the passing, the possession. Yes, they had more possession. If you keep looking down, you can see defensive actions. We had to make a lot of defensive actions. They also had to make a lot of clearances, and they had to win a lot of duels in this game too. We already know about the XG and everything else like that. Then you go to the momentum. You can see here that the momentum was pretty much, it was 50-50. It was a 50-50 game until we ended up getting the goal. And then from there, we just held on to possession. And then from this season so far, you got Bukayo Saka on 4 goals, Martin Odegaard on 3, Eddie Nketiah on 2. And guess what? Eddie Nketiah is outperforming his XG by 0.1. I'm going to hold on to that for a conversation maybe later on. And then
I don't know what you're trying to rate Nketiah. I'm sorry.
Allow me. Let me just have my fun. And then, by the way, Jorginho looks like he's the main link to the whole team. Yesterday, he was playing the deepest out of all of them. And surprisingly enough, Declan Rice and Saliba were the most progressive passers in the game. Are you guys not surprised? I'm not surprised by that, actually. I don't know why I'm saying surprising. Declan Rice and Saliba were the 2 most progressive players, and we really had ourselves one hell of a game. But yeah, what happened to Brendan?
I don't know. He just disappeared. I'm waiting for him to come back into
Yeah, he said I gotta jump off and my internet's moving crazy. He's gonna be back in a second. But big up everyone in the comment section. Big up everyone. Big up all the City fans, and to the people who keep talking about the goal being deflected, this and that. Cry me a river. We don't care. Does anybody here care that the goal was a deflected goal, or do you care about the result 1-0? Let's be honest. It's the 1-0 that we care about. But yeah, you know what? I think I've gone on for too long. I'm gonna let my boy Northside speak. Go ahead, bro. How you feeling?
Yeah, I had my happiest fan reaction yesterday on my channel, and yeah, the numbers still did well. So yeah, for all the filhos da puta that always want to say, oh, you're just doing it for clicks, still get clicks even when I'm positive. Yeah, apparently I'm negative. I celebrated yesterday and now I'm over it. It's one game. We've got 30 games to go. We hope that the players take from this that whole mental shift that we can't compete with Man City, that we can't beat them. That's what we hope for. But with everything going good, listen, both teams weren't amazing. Our midfield, creatively, wasn't great. The way we're talking about Declan Rice is not the way we're talking about our captain, Odegaard. This isn't the first time he's not put in a shift. Not just this season, but there's a lot of times when in big games, he doesn't show up in big games. He shows up against teams that sit back and allow him space and allow him to play. But this guy is somebody that can get nullified very, very quickly. You press him, you don't give him time, you don't let him on the ball too long, and you disrupt his game, and he's somebody that falters a lot of the time. And that is the reality of it. Jorginho, I don't understand why he's playing. You know, I've been very critical of players like Fabi Vieira, but I think Fabi Vieira and ESR, they've come off the bench and done more than somebody like Jorginho. I don't think he warranted starting, and we saw in that performance he created nothing. Are we surprised? I've been saying this Filo da Puta ain't good enough. Ultimately, this is the facts. We beat Man City, and I don't care if it's luck, we got the 3 points. That was the most important thing. That is what I was happy about. But my predictions and the things that I'm worried about does not change. I've seen this manager lose to Sporting, PSV, Villarreal, Olympiacos, and Lens. Yeah? Remember, a game ago, we were annoyed at the fact that this bench wasn't enough to beat Lens. We put a strong team out and they didn't produce against Lens. For me, that still sees that this team can turn up or have a capitulation in them whenever they feel like it. This season, a lot of fans have said that we are going on to win major honours this season. He has to win a major honour. You can't pick and choose when you want to turn up. We've held on against Fulham this season. It's still very inconsistent, you know. When you look at our bench, it's still not fixed. Still not fixed. A lot of people overgassed by Havertz. Let's be real. When you watch it back, Havertz plays a back pass. He controls the ball in the box and he plays a back pass. Any footballer can do that.
But bro, he brought it down. Not a lot of players.
I'll let you cook. I'm going to drop and then you can go and say whatever you want. I've seen Havertz in 90 minutes, not good enough in an Arsenal shirt. Yes, he brought the ball down and gave it to Martinelli. To me, I was more impressed by Martinelli's goal, and I was more impressed by Partey from deep with that long ball into the front three. I was more impressed by that than the simplistic position of Havertz controlling the ball and passing it back. To me, the jury's still out on Havertz. I don't rate him, and I've still not seen enough for a player that we spent 65 million, our third biggest, highest signing. Out of our starting 11, 6 of our players were not good enough. Odegaard wasn't good enough. Jorginho wasn't good enough. Nketiah wasn't good enough for me. Jesus wasn't good enough. He's better through the middle. Not good enough for me. Trossard wasn't good enough for me. And some of these players I rate, and ultimately I don't think Raya was good enough. His distribution, we are very lucky not to be conceding at least a goal from the atrocious distribution out the back from our goalkeeper. Let's keep it real. I've seen Arsenal bottle it going 2-1 against Spurs. Within a minute, we've conceded. These are things that we've seen this season. Yeah. You look at Zinchenko, he did well against Doku, but ultimately, when you look at his whole time at Arsenal, he's very shaky defensively, and I'm still concerned. The people that are going to say, oh, well, Zinchenko, he did well against Doku, are the same Arsenal people that come with the same bukaria talking to me about, oh, Eddie Nketiah. I've seen Eddie Nketiah get praised for one game he turns up, and next game he goes missing, next game he goes missing, then he turns up. Ultimately, I need to see a whole season for me to change my mind, like I did with Ramsdale, like I did with Ben White. I need to see a whole season, not a one-off or two-off game. Yeah. When you look at the stats, Odegaard, 8 appearances, 3 goals, 1 assist. Doesn't scream to me world class, and I thought he was better last season than this season, and he didn't turn up against City. Havertz, 1 goal, 1 assist, and 8 appearances for someone we've paid a lot of money for. Fabi Vieira, 5 appearances, 2 assists, off the bench, because every time he starts, he doesn't look that great, more of an impact player, and coming off the bench. Smith Rowe, 2 appearances, no goals, no assists. Eddie Nketiah, that you're trying to come up with the XG, 8 appearances, 2 goals, still not clinical enough. And Jesus, 6 appearances and 1 goal. At the end of the day, I've seen this fan base get overgassed when we beat PSV, when we beat Bournemouth. We've still seen a lot that needs to improve. Arteta gets praise for bringing on Martinelli at halftime, something I called for. Arteta does get praise in certain things. Ultimately, he nullified Man City. But I still need to see a lot more before I change my mind about this manager. Happy with the result. Everything I've been complaining about still stands. And until I see any difference, then I'll start speaking on it, because we still need a striker. Midfield is not creating enough. And we need rotation. This manager hasn't been handling a lot of injuries in the right way, which is hence why Saka's been out. So let's not paint it like everything's great. Great win. Now continue, because the season doesn't end here. Last season, we were flying at the start of the season. Where did we finish? We were 8 points clear of Man City. Did they not catch up? So let's put our feet to the ground. Calma. 3 for me and 2 for you, my friend. That's what I say.
Northside, 10 minutes into the video, you've already mentioned every topic that we're going to discuss.
Come on, bro.
You gotta save some for later, bro. Listen, take it one step at a time. I just asked you quick synopsis of the game, man. When it's every issue we have at the club.
I've seen some fans, you know why? Because I've seen some fans coming out with, I saw Dowd come out and saying that we're going to do the Invincibles, which I'm clipping up tomorrow with me and a guy on my channel. He's getting roasted because I don't give a crap. He's getting roasted. Then I saw somebody else saying that, oh, it was a masterclass.
Let people get gassed. Let people get gassed.
No, be happy on the result, but don't come out with predictions. We're going to go invincible. Don't come out with, oh, we're definitely going to win the league.
Bro, at this point, if you haven't realized, it's satire. You've spoken to
it's not satire. No.
You've spoken to Dawood. He genuinely doesn't believe we're going to do the treble. Come on, it's satire. It's basically to make a joke of people who get overly excited. Let's not make it seem like that's who he actually is. He's very much more balanced than what he comes off as on TikTok. But hey, it's satire. It's basically for fun. And big up to Dawood. Unfortunately, his TikTok got taken down and he had to start from scratch. So allow the guy, you know what I mean? Anyways, Brendan, what do you got to say about the game, man?
It feels great. I've got no monkey on my back no more. Do you know what I mean? We've got that monkey off our back. Nobody can come here and say, you ain't beat Man City in 8 years. Yeah, I don't care about the fact that it was a lucky goal. I don't care about any of that. We nullified them. Yeah, I did not see that long-haired Yeti all game. Yeah, where was he? Mr. Erling Haaland, I to score 60 or I score 55 goals a season. Where was he? Oh, yeah, that's right. In Saliba's back pocket, my friend. Yeah, Saliba's back pocket. And at the end of the day, right, I agree with a lot of what Northside said, by the way. But when it comes to this game, I was impressed with the team and how they worked as a whole. Even the players that I don't think should be starting in the team. Obviously, the only player that I will call out for his performance, or a couple of players for his performance yesterday, mainly Eddie Nketiah for me. You know, Eddie Nketiah offered us absolutely nothing yesterday. Apart from that, I thought Jorginho did a reasonable job in the midfield. Like I say, we nullified Manchester City. Yeah, they should have had Kovacic sent off. I don't care what any Man City says. He should have been sent off for a second bookable offence, even if that first one wasn't a red. And, you know, the stats tell the story. 4 shots on goal, 1 shot on target from Manchester City. That's the least amount of shots that they've had in a game since 2010. That's how much we nullified them. That's the first time they've lost back-to-back Premier League games since 2018. Now, I'm not saying that there's an issue at Man City because I don't believe there is. You know, I believe they're a very, very, very good side. And we will still lose games this season. So it's only 9 games in. So I'm not going to get too overly excited. But what I would say is for a very boring game, it was an almost perfect team performance by Arsenal. You know, of course, maybe we'd be talking about something different if we didn't score the goal, which happened to be a lucky deflection, and we could have created more in the game. But I feel that both managers, in the way that they set up, nullified each other. You know, you could see the way that Pep was trying to put Foden, Alvarez, Rico Lewis, fucking Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, Kovacic, all flooding the midfield area. It's difficult to get any fluidity in that midfield area. And like I say, I said it yesterday, I thought both teams cancelled each other out. I thought both teams were lacking that wide player, that out-and-out winger who's got pace. And our manager recognised it at half-time, brought on Martinelli, and you could see the difference in the second half. First 5 minutes, we was pushing higher up the pitch. We was creating more problems. And I think, you know, overall, you've got to kind of credit Arteta with yesterday's win because his substitutions is what made the difference. Martinelli coming on, you know, made the difference, scored the goal. You know, even down to the fact that, you know, I was sitting there worrying about Doku all week, thinking this guy is raw, he's pacey, he's strong, he's your typical out-and-out winger. And if he gets down that Zinchenko side while he's inverted into midfield, we're in trouble. And again, the manager recognised it and went, do you know what? I'm bringing on Tomiyasu. I ain't waiting around. I'm just going to bring him on. So, yeah, for me, that win yesterday has to come down to Arteta and how he tactically, you know, ousted Pep in this particular time. I do think as a whole, though, there are a lot of times where Mikel Arteta lets us down in his in-game management and that. But you know, it had to happen. And hopefully this is a morale boosting win, because hopefully, like I say, we've now got that mentality of going to Manchester City and saying we can beat you because we have beat you. It's none of this like, you know, like Arsenal with Anfield. We have such an horrific record at Anfield. It doesn't matter who we take there. We always tend to lose or drop points at Anfield.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to just get that first win to kind of give you that morale boost and say, yeah, we can beat you. And I think, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, because there's still a long way to go in the season yet, but we've got that off our back now. We can say, yeah, we can beat Manchester City, even if it is, you know, a deflected goal. It's still 3 points at the end of the day.
Let me ask you, everybody, this. Does anybody, even in the comments, let me know, does anybody care if our goals are deflected goals, penalties, free kicks? Do you guys give a shit? Because I don't. So, what are you saying?
I don't. Who cares? Other team rides their luck against us, and that is what I was happy. I was happy with the mentality. I'm just questioning how long is this going to last. But I was very happy with performances from a lot of our players. Gabriel, Saliba, Rice. I thought that they were immense. I think Declan Rice did have a couple of times that he was caught out, but he rose to the occasion ultimately. I think Tomiyasu came on, dealt with Doku very well. Even Zinchenko, I didn't think
he's saying positive. I love it.
I think he did very well as well. Even Raya, I will say this. Listen,
we're going to talk about Raya. We're going to talk about Raya.
I just got one question for you guys.
We're going to talk about Raya in a second. Let Sulz say his bit.
Yeah, I just got one question for you guys before you move on to Sulz. What on earth was Tomiyasu doing that high up the pitch to win that header to knock it down to Kai Havertz? Like, he was playing as a striker. Like, what's going on there?
Right. I'm going to get into the tacticals of this game, right, in specific, because there was a lot of key points that kind of made me see an evolution in Arteta in this game. Not overall. I think he's been poor this season in terms of managing these games and actually dealing with the pressure of becoming a title challenger from the very get-go. Because last season, we weren't meant to be where we were, despite our name and everything. We obviously put ourselves in a situation to be title challengers. Whereas with this season, the expectation changed and he hasn't handled the pressure quite yet. I mean, the answer could be like, I mean, we're still undefeated, we're still top of the league, etc. But in this game in specific, if we look at Arsenal's defensive resilience in this fixture, 4 shots, the fewest that, you know, they've had in the Premier League since 2010. When we look at no shots at goal after the 58th minute, 16 touches in the box, 12 touches in the box after 5 minutes. So when you really look and break that down, they couldn't get close to us other than the first 15 minutes. After that, they had nothing. When I saw the lineup first come out, yes, a lot of people had questions, but that's what I wanted to see, because there was always going to be a question of whether Thomas Partey's fit enough to actually play the full 90 or actually start, or would he be better just to come off the bench because he's not going to give us enough time. So when we saw Jorginho, yes, a lot of people criticise him. I criticise him because of what he did in Northern Derby. I don't think he warranted a start. But what we need to understand, right, is player profiles are going to play a big role in what Arsenal do moving forward and what Arteta does moving forward. The one thing Jorginho does offer, and what he is absolutely elite at, is ball possession and control and controlling tempo from the 6. And he can interchange with Declan Rice and allow him to go forward. And one thing that we needed to do in this game was just have calm nerves. Because if we made a mistake or we messed up in the first 10 minutes, the game's over. So what Arteta clearly identified was, let's just go for as long as we can, keep it 0-0, keep it tight, keep it compact, keep the possession, and let's just not let them have any rhythm. And that's what we did really well. But what I really wanted to get onto was actually what happened at half-time when Gabriel Martinelli came on, because the field tilt did change and it came into our favour from the second half onwards. In the first half, it was very 50-50. But because field tilt, you know what, if you actually understand it, it does make a lot of sense to what we were doing, because we became the dominant team. And the reason why I say that is City actually did better in terms of completed passes, but our passes were better into the final third. In both instances of the first 15 minutes of the second half, and from the 61st minute to the 75th minute, we had a better completed pass rate into the attacking third. So that kind of goes to show how good we played in that sense. But then what Arteta identified, not only just bringing Tomiyasu, Kai Havertz, and, you know, what was it again? He brought Tomiyasu, Kai Havertz, and Thomas Partey, was actually a deliberate tactical plan from him. Because the one thing he realized was we're not going to outplay the midfield. If we continue playing the way we have, we're not going to win this game. So what do? You bypass the midfield. You go in long, and guess what he did? He goes to Tomiyasu and Kai Havertz. You guys need to hold that ball. You need to do what you need to do to make sure when Raya distributes it, you're on it. And obviously, it didn't come from a David Raya pass, but we know at time at Brentford, hitting the channels, that's where he succeeds the most. When he's got a target man, when he's got someone like I can never pronounce his name, but Mbumbo from Brentford, when he's got Ivan Toney, when he's got players like that, you can just hit into the channels, get the ball down, and do your thing. Thomas Partey bypassed the midfield. They didn't even bother trying to play it down, played it long, and the first time we played it long, we score. Now, a lot of people are going to sit there and go, oh, what did Kai Havertz? It's simple. Now, that's what he's been brought in to do. It's quite evident in the last 8 games, he's meant to be the safe player. He's the one who's going to bring the calm in the madness. Because what we were doing in this game, including Zinchenko, including the likes of, Jesus, including the likes of even Martinelli, was the minute they saw the goal, they were shooting. And the problem that we had with that was we weren't trying to break their team down. We were just wanting to shoot and see if something happened. What Kai Havertz did, which is what kind of impressed me, was instead of taking the control and just shooting, which is what a lot of people wanted him to do, he actually made the pass. I know it's simple, but in those pressured moments, it's easy to go, do you know what? I need a goal. I need the fans to be on my side and just shoot when it didn't make sense to do that. So I actually credit Thomas Partey, Tomiyasu, and also Kai Havertz in that moment, because that's the cool head you needed to keep. And then obviously Martinelli deflected, whatever, who cares? It's a goal. And from that moment onwards, Pep was like, Tomiyasu is clearly superior at defending than Ben White. And guess what he did? He goes to Doku, go and attack Ben White. Ben White done his job. He couldn't even attack Ben White. Ben White actually nutmegged him. So it goes to show no matter what actually Pep tried doing, we had an answer. And that's not just Arteta. That's on these players. These players said, try it. Haaland, 0 XG. The guy had 0 shots. Zilch. You know how mad that is? Doesn't matter whether KDB is there or not. They still have Foden. They still have Bernardo Silva. They still had, Grealish coming up. They still had players who could create chances for the guy. The guy had an opportunity to run in behind. Saliba bagged it. You go, yeah, you ain't doing shit, fam. And this is the thing. This is why I said, when we had Rob Holding, that's why we lost. And a lot of people go, oh, Rob Holding, this, that, and the other. The reality of the difference is Rob Holding doesn't have the kahunas or the ability to actually stop someone like Haaland. And whereas Saliba, he doesn't care. Run in behind, do what you need to do. The guy can take that on. And that's what the most impressive thing was. We stuck to our plan. We knew what we wanted to do. And also, I think Arteta played it perfectly from the start to the end, because he had the ability to change the game if it wasn't working. He went into the Community Shield formation and the lineup once he saw that, okay, we need to change this up. So in this game alone, I'm not going to praise the entire season because I think we've been poor. But in this game, I think the team and the manager deserve a lot of credit. But you know who else, right? And what else changed was the fans. Did you hear the noise?
Yeah.
They need to start letting actual bloody fans come into that stadium. I don't want to see those North London Derby fans come in because they were bullshit. They didn't make no noise. Today or yesterday, we heard the noise. And I'm going to call the fans out because I don't give a shit. If you get an opportunity to go to these big games and you're not making noise, you don't deserve to go to a game. You don't even deserve to call yourself a fan. I don't give a shit. Call me what you want, because that North London Derby fan performance was shit. Because yes, we can talk about the players rising to the occasion, but the fans have to make noise and make it hostile, because that's what we did yesterday. One of the reasons we also won is the Emirates was actually hostile. The goals that we celebrated, when we had those moments, we were encouraging the team more, and that's the difference as well. And that's overall what my opinion of this whole game was.
Okay, guys, this is where we're gonna kind of have like an open panel and just have a discussion. First, I wanna say we beat Man City 1-0. Yes, it was a close game, but now I want to talk about what this game means for us. Is it more than just 3 points? Are you guys now believing more that we can go push on and do more from this? Because that is what we're basically trying to do. We're trying to accomplish major things. We're trying to win major trophies. We're trying to see what we can do and compete on all fronts. We just beat the best team in the world. Yes, it was a close game, but at the end of the day, we controlled the game. We did what we had to do. And I heard what you said, Northside, earlier today on your stream, talking about the attack. Guys, Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, and Bukayo Saka have only played 14 minutes together this season. That was 14 minutes from when Gabriel Jesus got subbed on to when Gabriel Martinelli got subbed off in the game against Manchester United. That's it. Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka are our three best attackers. They've yet to play with each other. Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, and Martin Odegaard, if I'm not mistaken, only played when in the midfield in the Community Shield game. They've not played all three of them together in a Premier League game yet. So this is not even.
I'm not taking that excuse, by the way, because regardless of who he plays, these are his players. So they
no. My point is, we haven't seen our best team yet. This is a team.
We don't need to. We don't have to.
No. I'm not. Let me land. My point is not an excuse. It's just to say we have levels to go to. We have a lot of improving that we can do just interior before we even bring other players in, before we talk about January transfer windows, before we talk about anything. Because the way we're performing, guys, the reason why we're being so defensive is because so boring is because we're facing low blocks every week. Every week we're facing low blocks. I know my boy Dabs was talking about this. He said Man City, the first season they weren't boring. But the second season, the third season, when you face teams that don't want to play football and they just want to stop you and negate your attack by putting two banks of four, you're gonna play boring football. It's not gonna be as entertaining. We're not gonna see as many 5-0s, guys.
But that's even then, right? We've opened up teams enough to score more goals. We've still created more than enough chances to still bury these teams 2-3-0. Okay, granted, we're not going to see 5-0, 6-0 every single game. I don't think any one of us on this panel has that expectation. But the reality is, when we're creating opportunities, we need to become killers. The problem that we have is we're leaving games at 1-0. If we can get that second or that third goal and actually take some of these opportunities, look at Eddie Nketiah, right? I know we pick on him a lot, but he's had opportunities where he's trying to chip the keeper, he's trying to just kick it at the keeper. There's those opportunities. Even Bukayo Saka's had poor finishing this season. His output, yes, has been great, but he's been more moments. And then when you look at Trossard looks like a shadow of himself, but any opportunity he's gotten. Yes, he's had a few good moments at the Champions League game, for example, but the reality is those moments are coming far too less this season. And granted, yes, we're having a slower start. That's fine. I'm not sitting here and saying that we have to be scintillating every single game. But when the opportunities present themselves, you've got to, if you want to beat the likes of Man City, you've got to be at least a 50% conversion rate. At the moment, I'd say, without even looking at it, we're probably at 10%. And that's a big problem. We're getting 3-4 opportunities and taking one when we need to start.
You realize 50% conversion rate is ridiculous. I think
but we need to be better though. No, because I'm talking clear-cut chances. I'm not talking about just chances at XG that they say, because an XG is just getting into the box and shooting. That's XG. But I'm talking clear-cut chances, like some of the ones that Eddie Nketiah's had, some of the ones that even the likes of Trossard have had. Kai Havertz is a prime example. Yeah, Havertz has had, 2 against United. He's had a few, even in the City Community Shield. I'm just saying some of these opportunities have to come to goals. I'm not saying every single one, but the clear-cut ones, we're not doing enough with them.
And it's very simple. I completely agree with everything you just said, yeah? Because let's keep it real, yeah? Against Lens, where we lost, we had 67% possession, bro. 67%. And this is why when people try and justify me that Philo da Puta and Jorginho, I'm not hearing it, bro. It's not just about having position. It's not just about having possession, bro. It's what you do with that. Because I tell you what, yeah, you can have all the possession in the world. A lot of times we've seen this season, these players go backwards and sideways. Odegaard is very good at retaining the ball. This is why I'm not hearing the talk about Jorginho. He plays it safe too many times. We need players that are going to take players on. In that midfield, we don't have a player that will take a player on anymore. Odegaard was doing it last season, and you could see his numbers. It backed how we felt about him last season. This season, we don't do it. Jorginho doesn't take on his man. It's all good retaining possession, but what do you do with it? Last season, we went up against Man United. We had the first time we faced Man United, we lost. We had more possession. If it's just about possession, we should have won the game. It's not about possession, bro. You can have low possession and be clinical. Like you said, we are not clinical enough. Let's not act like we have not seen Nketiah not be clinical enough. Let's not act like we don't know that Jorginho, that Jesus' best season at City is 14 goals a season. Let's not act like this manager, when Trossard was sourcing at the start of the season, he put him on the bench when he did have form, when he was playing. Even in pre-season, Trossard was balling. He was one of our best players, if not our best player in pre-season. This manager's management has been poor. Then you look off the bench.
Let me rebuttal before you move on to the next topic.
We are relying on certain players that we called a light bench last season. We are relying on Emil Smith-Rowe to get goals. We're relying on Vieira. Fair enough, against Man City, it worked. But I've got more case that more times it hasn't worked. More times they have not impacted the game the way we needed to. So there are issues. Let's not pretend like this bench is fixed. Let's not pretend like people have not been saying prior to this game that we need an Ivan Toney. It's not been good enough. And the last thing I'll say before I let you go, Agal, in this game against City, Rice should have had a brace. There was a chance when Nketiah had the ball and he should have squared it to Rice. He was one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He didn't square it. He hits it, it goes wide. There's another chance where Rice was shouting at Jesus, pass me the ball, I'm in the box. And that Puta didn't pass the ball. These things will come to bite us if we don't rectify these things. Not only the style, but also the personnel, because we don't have any killers. We don't have anyone from deep that runs at players. Jorginho does not do the same job that Xhaka used to do. For all his deficiencies, Xhaka would transition that ball from defense to attack very well. Very well. But I don't see those runs. He would make runs past Jesus, past the front three, and do a Xhaka boot. We don't get that from Jorginho, and we don't get that from Odegaard when he's being pressed.
We did get that from Declan Rice. Declan Rice was the one playing.
Declan Rice is a DDM. How many times is he going to do that?
Oh, Declan Rice yesterday was not playing as a DM.
But okay. To repeat that,
I just need to.
How many times was Rice picked out then? Answer that then. How many times did they pick him out?
He wasn't. That's the problem. But let me say this though. Yesterday's game was a situation where we needed to keep the score down as much as possible. We know our weakest point in our game is our attack. Our midfield is really good. Our defense is probably one of the best in the league. And then you look at our attack, and you say our attack is nowhere near the top caliber at this moment in time. And especially with Martinelli and Saka all not firing and being injured. And of course, you guys already heard Trossard picked up a hamstring injury. You heard that. Saliba, Mamba here saying Saliba's top 5. He has a toe injury now. These things are going to come thick and fast. So we need to rely on our squad. But I believe the only place where we're short is in the attack. You could maybe say we're short also in the center back positions if you want to say we need more center backs or we need more defenders. But Timber's injured right now. He should be back by January, hopefully. But for now, I'm not too concerned. I believe this team beat City, got us over a mental hurdle. I hear you with the deficiencies. I understand the deficiencies, but this is where Mikel Arteta has to make his money. Can we all agree on that? He clearly sees that the deficiency in the team was the attack, and the way that he set up Northside and Sulz, you can clearly see the way that we set up was to capitalize on minimal opportunities for ourselves and to make this a game that was basically won on small margins instead of what we did previously. Instead of what we did last season, which was we tried to have a shootout. We tried to have a basketball game. I think us playing this way, more defensive, more boring, is actually going to lead to us having more consistent performances throughout the season.
I disagree because we don't have the striker to play like this. When you play this type of football, like Atleti, they always had world-class finishers.
No. We're not going to play this way against everybody. We're not going to play this way against. We're not going to play this.
When you're going to play defensive and controlling the game, you need a killer up front. We're
not going to play this way every week.
But you're just saying playing this way will win the league. That's what you just said.
No, but we're going to play this way against top teams when we need to pick up points.
You're playing like
Anfield away.
Anfield away. Expensive football like last season ago. We're not. Let's not lie.
Guess what? Last season, we were an unknown commodity. This season, everybody knows Arsenal. You have to be fearful. Arsenal, you have to play 2 low blocks. And the teams that we played Northside, you have to take that in too. It's not a situation where we
have to take into account Lons and drawing against Fulham. Sorry,
bro. I'll tell you this: the draw against Fulham was 2 individual errors, and that's on the players messing up. That wasn't as much
on the manager. When you're going to play this style of football and implement this, you know that you need a killer up front. Mourinho used to play this type of football. He had Drogba. He had killers up front. He had Benzema. Yeah. When Simeone plays this type of football, he had killers up front. Yeah, he had
Yo,
Costa.
we did the same thing.
If you're going to play this type of football, fine. The manager can do what he wants. Ultimately, he will pay. But I'm not having that feel da puta going again with Eddie Nketiah that is not clinical enough. Going with Jesus for everything I love about that player.
Jesus just can't. Jesus had to play on the right because of the injury.
Jesus has to play on the right because he didn't get rotation adequate enough for Saka. That is the reason why he's playing on the right.
But Jesus was amazing
and got adequate replacement for Saka, knowing that we're burning him out. And 2 seasons in a row, he starts burning out at the last 10 games to go.
And on the side, regardless of that, he gave Reece Nelson a 100k contract. Why don't you trust him?
Exactly. Exactly. And we better play on Nene as well because he gave him a new contract as well. I know that's a new pucaria. He's giving too many.
And then he's leaving soon, man.
I'm not hearing it. Either way you cut it, he should have replacement. He should have a goal scoring striker. And if you're going to play Jesus out on the right because you're thin, then why didn't you plan for Saka?
Yo,
uncomfortable conversation.
You want to know something?
9 games in a row.
You want to know something? You want to know something? Uncomfortable conversation. We played similar to this versus Manchester United in the first half in that Manchester United game. We played similar to this in the first half versus Tottenham, and we did the same tactics almost to City. Now that's 3 games in a row. When we play big teams, we are a lot more cautious, and we're not trying to have shootouts. We're trying to make sure that we capitalize on how strong our defense and our midfield is. And we're trying to win the midfield battle to help us win these games.
But we're not looking convincing it, Gal. Let's be real.
That's by design.
We played more for
by
a draw.
design. That's
our
by
defense
design.
is what kept us in the game. It wasn't our midfield. It wasn't our attack. Declan Rice played well. Saliba and Gabriel played excellently against Haaland. Do not get me wrong, but we played more for a draw. Going forward, we didn't create that much. No, we didn't, bro. We didn't open them up. And in the final third, we didn't
against City. We played for a draw.
Nketiah didn't score, and Trossard was shocking, and Jesus was shocking as well in his decisions as well. Let's keep it real.
1 second.
We're happy with the win, but
if you're, let me ask you a question. If you're a boxer, right? Take this away from football for a second. If you're a boxer and you have that Deontay Wilder finisher like City do, what you're gonna do going into that game against the Deontay Wilder is you're going to play the long game, not the short game, and try to go for your own haymaker. You're gonna try to wear them out. You're gonna try to wear them out and catch them at the end of the game. That's what we did to City. I think this was by design. I don't think this was a fluke. I think this was by design. I think the way that we did this was similar to how we played against Tottenham. And I'm going to bring Brandon into this, similar to how we played against Manchester United. It's just against Tottenham, they countered us right away. Where City, when we scored that goal against City, even though we were super emotional, we celebrated like crazy, everyone calmed their heads and we defended for the rest of the game and we saw through the win. And I think this is sustainable. Although you guys are going to say this is crazy, hear me out. The performance that we had in the midfield, we shifted them out wide and they didn't create too many chances through the middle. They only had 4 chances and 2 of them were from Julian Alvarez and the other 2 are from defenders. So we neutralized them from the middle. They didn't create any chances. And yes, it's because maybe 2 of their best players are also gone. But the City team that we played yesterday did not look like a City team. We made them look like, I don't even know what to say.
This isn't a one-off, Igal. This isn't a one-off. I get what you're saying on a one-off occasion. We have not played expansive football all season. So I get what you're saying. But if this was a one-off, I'll say, you know what, fine, fair enough, Igal. We have not seen a convincing performance this season. The only convincing performance we put out is PSV. That's the only one where the score matched the performance. That is the only game this season that I can say 90 minutes we were at it. Yeah? That was PSV, and that is not the level of the Champions League.
What about Bournemouth?
We have not been convincing. Yes, we've got the results most of the time. We have not been convincing for 90 minutes. We have the majority of the fan base have been complaining, not just me. So let's not go on like it's just me.
Bro, what about Bournemouth?
Played this season has not been convincing. 1-0, not taking our chances. Like, sorry, I don't know your name. Where is it down there? Even he mentioned, was it
Sulz?
Cool, Sulz. Even he mentioned it. A lot of times we're 1-0. Yeah, we're scraping by. We know in the Premier League, a 1-0 score is a very slender lead. We know this. And we've not been expansive enough. We've not buried teams. We've not put teams to bed. Yeah. And everyone referring to last season, we threw away all the competitions to focus on the Premier League. Yeah. And we still came second. This season, you can't throw away the Champions League. So at the end of the day, we need to up the way we're performing, because even when we had all the rest in the world throwing all the competitions, we still fell short. This season, we're playing like this, not convincing, not putting teams to bed. We don't have a world-class finisher, and we have more games, because you cannot throw the Champions League, which adds more games. Maybe you can throw the Carabao, the FA Cup. You can't throw the Champions League. What are you going to say? Bigger fish to fry? No, you can't say that. So at the end of the day, I'm expecting better, bro.
Let's hear from Brandon. Brandon, what do you have to say on that? We've not been convincing this season. Northside's not happy.
Bigger fish to fry, Northside. No, I do agree with Northside in certain aspects. I think when you said, Miguel, that this is sustainable, I think from a defensive aspect against the bigger teams, that's the type of performance that I want to see from Arsenal.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we nullified Manchester City yesterday, right? So from a defensive aspect, and I think the thing that impressed me the most about our team performance yesterday was the concentration levels. Normally, you see from Arsenal little lapses in concentration, people not positioning themselves correctly, you know, and we allow stupid goals to be conceded, or we give away stupid errors and we make stupid errors. Yesterday, apart from the first 5 minutes where David Raya, I don't know what the hell was going on, right? First 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But apart from that, everybody else was on it. Like, concentration levels were bang on. You know, even Zinchenko, somebody who I absolutely ridicule for his defensive ability, was very good defensively yesterday. Positional awareness yesterday, very, very good. So from that aspect, I do think it is sustainable. But Northside and Sulz are right. We need to be more clinical. We need to create more chances. We need to start playing more expansive football again, because last season that did win us a hell of a lot of games. And let's not get it twisted either. We've got talented players here. We've got players that can do that. We've got players that can hurt teams. And I just don't feel like we're playing at a top level just yet. I don't feel like, you know, we're getting the best out of the attacking players that we should be getting. And a lot of that, right, I'm going to put on Mikel Arteta, because, you know, you said it earlier. Jesus, Martinelli and Saka haven't played barely any minutes together at all this season. A large reason for that is because my man wants to play Eddie Nketiah up front and push Jesus out wide, or play the two together. Why? How long is it going to take before Mikel Arteta realises Eddie Nketiah is not good enough, never going to be good enough to win Arsenal the league, and he shouldn't be starting for Arsenal, full stop. And so far, his performances this season, Eddie Nketiah, right, haven't been good. They haven't. Tottenham, he offered us absolutely nothing. I don't know how he stayed on the pitch for 100 minutes. Brentford in the Carabao Cup, don't know how he stayed on the pitch for the 90 minutes. Bournemouth did nothing. Man City, nothing. You know, normally, like I said on the terrace yesterday, normally you can sit there and say, cool, well, at least Eddie Nketiah works hard. Yesterday, he didn't work hard. I didn't see anything.
Guys, let me just be honest. We are going to spend the Eddie Nketiah topic for the whole show if we get into it. We all agree we need another striker.
Can I just say one last thing, not on Eddie Nketiah, but just on the topic that we were speaking about?
I just wanted to get onto the Raya point, bro.
Yeah, just quickly, it'll be 2 seconds. What I do want to say is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And last season, we kind of blew our steam a bit too quick. If we have started off slow, it could mean, I mean, it's always going to be a question until later on in the season, but maybe that's the plan, is to not gas ourselves out too early. That's all I want to say.
Big up to my guy with the super chat saying, hello, guys, Northside, you need to chill. We are second best defense in the league, or actually we're tied for the best defense in the league, and we are still undefeated. Balanced football wins you leagues.
Okay, cool. Don't cry when I'm right at the end of the season then, because this is the gas I heard last season, and clearly the fan base ain't learned. When you look at the things that need to be rectified and not just singing all the praises, cool, you can sing praises. If you want me to sing praises, look at my review from yesterday, because I was happy. I had the Versace shades out. I was calm. You know what I'm saying? I was good. But if you want to close your eyes to the things that need to be improved, well, this is exactly why we have not won the league or a major honor in 20 years. And this is why we've not won in Europe, Because a lot of times it's just, oh, well, we beat City. Let's forget about Lons. Let's forget about Fulham. Let's forget about that. Oh, this, all that. Yeah, people can say about starting the season off slow. I can hear that. Yeah, that you don't want to burn yourself out. But at the same time, what was the main thing that the fans said last season? Oh, that's right. Light bench. Yeah. And when you look at that bench, how much of that bench has been rectified? None of it has been rectified. The players that we brought in are more times are used as starters. And even then, we're looking lackluster. So if people don't want to see it, cool. End of the season, I'll be there. Northside, LDN. Don't worry. Yeah. You can come with your apologies.
Okay, we will just move past that. But let me just say, everyone in the comment section, do me a favor, hit that like button. It's absolutely free. We got over 85 of you guys in the chat right now. It's absolutely free. Hit that like button, show some love to the people. And I want to make sure I put everyone's links to their channels in the description right now. But before we go any further, I just want to talk about the injuries quickly, get them out of the way, because I don't think we want to spend the rest of the show talking about the injuries. So first of all, Saliba's injury, he's going to have 2 weeks off. It's a toe injury. They think he's going to be fine, but he's going to miss the French internationals. Trossard, it looks like it's a hamstring injury. And if anyone of you guys know anything about hamstring injury, it can reoccur. It's just something that you need to heal over time. So those two are injuries. I'm not too concerned at this moment in time, but we're going to have to wait and see. But this is the one that pisses me off. Did you guys see the report today? Bukayo Saka had to report to England duty for them to test him himself to see if he was going to be available for the 17th of October to face Italy. They thought that we were not 100% accurate with our reporting of the injury, and that we rested him for City in order for them to not play him in the thing. Apparently, this is protocol. And they do this for everyone, but I have never seen this be reported before for any Arsenal player. I don't know if you guys have seen this for any other players, but I have never seen this before. Is this normal protocol that England don't believe the clubs when they tell them a player is injured? Because why the hell would we rest him versus City if he wasn't injured? Why are they making him report to the England team? Luckily, they sent him home, but they might ask him to come back in 10 days.
Can I just say, right, I've already spoke on this, right? When he was originally called up to England by Southgate, even though he'd come off in the previous 2 games injured, I thought, you absolute self-centered, self-righteous, self-fucking motivated, I only care about myself, person to even do that, right? Because that's all it is. Why do you need Bukayo Saka to play these games? England are top of the group, flying, absolutely fine. Bukayo Saka is not needed for that game. And the second game is a friendly. Like, do they not understand?
But they agreed to compromise. He's not going to play the friendly.
We can compromise. What a load of crap. Arsenal pay Bukayo Saka's wages. Arsenal should be the one to say whether he can go on England duty or not. And look, there are people out there
unfortunately, FIFA rules, we're not allowed to do that. No club is allowed to hold back a player.
But the point is, right, is you cannot tell me that there's not another player that Gareth Southgate could use on this international break. Yeah? There's loads. There's loads of players. Anthony Gordon, perfect example, right? He's performing at a high level right now at Newcastle. Why has he not been picked for England? Why is it always?
You know why?
We've got to rely on Bukayo Saka. 22-year-old kid. Oh, well, it doesn't matter if we burn him out, does it? What a load of crap. And do you know what, right? While I'm on this rant, this goes for Mikel Arteta as well, right? Because there was no need to play him against Lons. There was no, in fact, not even Lons, right? Because it's an important Champions League game, so you want your best players. There was no need to play him against Bournemouth. As Sulz pointed out earlier, you give Reece Nelson $100,000 a week contract, but we continued to play him. The guy kept coming off injured. Oh, we'll keep playing you. We'll keep playing you. And look, ultimately, he missed our most important game or our biggest game of the season yesterday. And had we have not won that game, I'm pretty sure we'd all be sat here right now saying, could have done with Bukayo Saka. And these are the things that, we will all sit here and say, well, it's hindsight. We won the game. It is what it is. But the fact is Mikel Arteta needs to manage his players better as well. Not just, Gareth Southgate, I think he's a selfish twat, to be honest with you, to even think about doing, calling Bukayo Saka up when he's quite clearly injured, But Mikel Arteta has to do better at protecting players like Bukayo Saka as well. And that's how I feel on that one.
Simply put, he doesn't care, mate. Doesn't care. the reality is he looks at Bukayo Saka as the most important player in that English team at this moment in time, and that's why he's doing it. Guys, we know how good Bukayo Saka is.
Look. I'll be honest, right?
He is, and
I know we don't give a shit about international breaks or international friendlies or qualifiers and all this, right? But as Southgate, he needs to treat it like it's the most important game for him. The same way we have to treat group stage games and anything like that as the most important games. England still have to do it. I know a lot of people are going to sit there and go, selfish, it's this, it's that. But are we now going to not play Saka when he's available just because he's got to go? No, it's going to go both ways. It's the same way that we want the best players. England want the best players that are available to them to play. I understand people's frustrations, and I'm not saying he should be playing. Yes, there's certain games where, both, I think Arsenal and England could do better to protect their players, because even Harry Kane plays like every single friendly, every single international. There's Declan Rice plays pretty much every single game, for friendlies, etc. Calvin Phillips, another example. Maguire used to be like that as well, but now he doesn't play every game. So at the end of the day, look, it's not just Bukayo Saka. There's many players who get called up on international break that play every single game. Rodri still plays every game for Spain, even though he plays every game for Man City. I understand the frustration from the fans, but this is standard. When you've got a major player, like one of the best in the world, this is what's going to happen. If we can't accept that, then we're not ready to have these players.
Look, Sulz, I agree completely. But do not call him up when he's quite clearly injured. When he's injured, right, and he's struggling, and he's come off in 3 games.
But that's something they have to do. It's not a case of whether...
And he hasn't played against Manchester City because he's not fit enough. How dare you? How dare you turn around and say, well, I'm going to call him up anyway? Doesn't really matter. That's what I mean by selfishness. I understand Rodri plays for Spain, but I guarantee you, if he's injured, they don't call him up. It's almost like the whole world seems to think, oh, Bukayo Saka, it's all right. We'll keep playing this guy. It doesn't matter. We'll keep playing this guy. Keep playing him. Eventually, this kid will burn out. He will burn out, and it'll happen. But the fact and reality is, right? Yes, you want to play for your national team, but any game whatever games is more important. Arsenal or England? Well, Arsenal pays wages, so Arsenal is more important. Am I right or am I wrong? Do you know what I mean?
Not only just that, we've had 3 examples here at Arsenal. We've had Diaby, we've had Wilshere, and we've had Fabregas. Yeah? And what happened? Fabregas, absolute baller. How many times did we put him on injections, send him out, not well? Yeah? He didn't have a long career like Pirlo. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because he got burnt out. We saw it with Wayne Rooney. When Rooney burst on the scene, played it, game in, game out. Did he have a long career at the top level like somebody like Ibrahimovic? No, he didn't. Yeah, we saw Diaby. How many times was he on the medical chair? On the medical chair all the time.
No, but you know what it is? This is happening even more now, because even if you look at Pedri, for example, for Spain, he plays every single game for Barcelona, and then when he comes to Spain, they play him. There was one time there's actually like a fear for his health of how skinny he became because of how many games he played. So the thing is, this isn't just an England thing. This is just a footballing thing at the moment. A lot of these players are getting dragged through, especially the younger talents. You're going to see it in like someone like Lamine Yamal. You've seen it in Ansu Fati when he started picking up injuries and they kept playing him. Ousmane Dembele has been, victim to this as well, where he's picked up injuries and then they've rushed him back. When Dave said 3 months and they brought him back in a month and a half, and it's like, what the hell, how did this happen? So I think there's just a general mismanagement of talents within football at the moment. And I don't know if that's because they believe medicine has advanced that much, or whether... I think there's a bit of naivety to thinking, oh, we've got all these medicines, these injections, we've got these painkillers, we've got all of this, that. Or is it the fact that these players' mentalities are kind of, the managers have become pussies, let's be honest. Like they've not got the bottles to be like, nah, you ain't playing. Because even yesterday we've seen reports, Martinelli was like, the medical staff was saying, no, you can't play. But Martinelli was like, nah, you're playing me, I'm coming on. In reality, I get it, we won the game, etc. But the manager should have had the bottle to be like, if the medical staff are telling me you're not fit, you should have been rested.
But that's where the manager comes in.
Listen, that's a Chelsea fan with chest. A Chelsea fan with chest.
Is Lewis saying that Chelsea going to smoke
to Lewis, man? But that's where the manager says, look, Saka, the reason you're even called up to the England squad is because of your performances for Arsenal. If I was Arteta, I'd say to him straight, listen, you want to go? Cool. But listen to this. If you go and you get a massive injury and you're out for the whole season, yeah, and somebody else comes along, another kid comes on the scene and takes your place, you're not out of the England squad, yeah? Your bread and butter is how you perform for your club. The way you get called up to your national team is how you perform for your club. First of all, that is what warrants you going up to your national team. If you want to go out there, it could be career ending. It can be a recurring injury. We look at the example of Havertz. Havertz is another great example. Didn't look after his body. Probably didn't listen to the medical team as well, because I'm sure the medical team would have been telling him what to do. Playing through injury, and then look how he burnt out at Real Madrid. So if you're a manager, you tell him, listen, you ain't going anywhere. You're staying here at Arsenal. We pay your wages. The reason you even called up is because of the opportunities I give you, and we're not going to risk it. At the end of the day, we'll tell the national team, you ain't been selected for City. You're not going. The manager has to take he has to take control. We've seen Fergie. Fergie done it excellently. How many times did Fergie not allow his players to go out on national duty? Yeah, and focusing on his team first of all. And if they're not, even sometimes inventing injuries, the guy's genuinely injured, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? So make sure that the player ain't going, because ultimately, yeah, one bad injury. Like I said before, DRB, bro, one bad injury, and look at his career. Look at his career and show him examples. It's not just telling him you ain't going. Show him examples of players that have played with injury and how the projection of their career has gone. Like somebody like a DRB, like Wilshere. We all remember the performance from Wilshere against Barcelona. Once he got that injury, we never saw that again. Fabregas, burnt out.
Sad stuff. You know what, guys? We got to go to the last topic. But enough about the injuries. I don't think anything serious about the Saliba stuff. I don't think anything serious about the Trossard stuff. We all agree on the Bukayo Saka shouldn't be playing for England. And guess what? We just got news a couple minutes ago that it's official that he has been withdrawn from this international break. And that means Bukayo Saka not going on international duty. Martinelli not going on international duty. Gabriel Jesus not going on international duty. You got the midfield. Declan Rice is obviously going. But if I'm not mistaken, Partey is going also. So who's not going? Saliba's not going. So it's Saka, Saliba, Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus. They're the four people who are not going that usually would go. So it's a win for us there at least. Now, this is the conversation that always gets us going. Annoyed, angry, pissed off. I have been seen enough this season to say that we're not good enough to go and compete for the league. This is my thing. You guys are looking at these performances and you're saying they're not good enough. I hear you, but there's a level where we can go up to. We are starting to click and we're starting to gel with this team. It is a marathon, not a sprint. What you see in your first 8 games is not going to dictate if you win or lose. But what it will do is it will give you the landscape to go on. Last season, yes, we started off well, but expectations were low, so low. This season, even though we're 1 point behind where we were last season we lost to Manchester United. This season we've drawn 2 games. So based on losing 3 points or losing 4 points, that's the difference, right? The actual underlying statistics, we've had more possession, we've had more control of the games, we have created more chances, we haven't scored as many goals, we've conceded around the same goals. So overall, the 2 seasons are similar. What is different? The mentality of the players and the fan base. The fan base's mentality going into this season is we have to be number 1. The fan base's mentality going into last season was we had to be top 4. So expectations changes the way you view the season. Guys, we actually have not played that bad. We actually have not been as bad as people are making it seem. And we have levels to improve. We still within our season. Martinelli's just scored, I think, his first goal of the season in that game. First goal of the season, I think, from Martinelli. Bukayo Saka, he has 3 or 4 goals. Odegaard has 3 goals. Jesus hasn't even scored too many goals yet. Eddie Nketiah has 2 goals and he's top 3 in the team right now. It goes to show you that we have a long way to go. The goals from the midfield hasn't even come in yet. We've seen Declan Rice score 1 goal. We haven't seen too many goals in the midfield. I'm telling you guys right now, we are over-exaggerating and over-analyzing the Fulham draw, the draw versus Tottenham, and we're not really taking in that we are coasting through these games even though we're not having good performances.
We are not
And
coasting. We are not coasting. We are not coasting. I can't believe this is what I'm saying. The girl, bro. I'm
do you
sorry.
not think we can go on to win the league this season?
There was a comment there that someone put right there. Yeah, they just said, well said, the gal. Team depth is starting to come together. Okay, cool. Everyone blamed the team depth last season. Let's very quickly go through the team depth. Aaron Ramsdale, part of the capitulation last season, and their true feelings about Aaron Ramsdale came when we got Raya. Fabi Vieira wasn't good enough last season, and this season, when you start him, ain't good enough. At best, impact player, not very good. Kivior, that was put on the bench last season when we had injuries to our defense, yeah, and we played Rob Holding. Rob Holding, that filo da puta is trash. Yet Kivior was put on the bench over Rob Holding. Ain't good enough. He was here last season. Martinelli, I rate. Partey, I rate. But everyone wanted to get rid of Partey. When we got Declan Rice, the talk from the majority of Arsenal fans, oh, he's injury prone. Get rid of Thomas Partey. That was the talk. And he was part of this team last season that bottled the league. Yeah? Then you got Reece Nelson. A filo da puta that's done nothing to deserve a new contract. Another one like Rob Holding got a new contract, like El Nene, like Nketiah, that's done nothing to warrant a contract. And we kept him.
Can you do
alone? We got rid of him. Then
can you do the opposite? Can you name the players you rate?
I'm going to go for the team and I'll shut up. Emil Smith-Rowe, another one. People saying, oh, Thomas Partey is injured. We ain't seen Emil Smith-Rowe fit for a whole season since 1886. That filo da puta is always injured, bro. Let's keep it real. So people saying that Partey, we need to get rid of Partey. What did Emil Smith-Rowe do last season? Nothing. Kai Havertz, that ultimately, every time he's been started, ain't been good enough. Whatever position we play in him, it ain't been good enough. Yes, you played against Man City. The season is not one game, it's 38 games. So let's keep that in check. And then Tomiyasu, yes, he's been great. I think he was our best player against Lons, but ultimately, he's not of the level required if we're going to win a major honor, ultimately. And he was part of a bench that everyone said light season. There's nothing on that bench that tells me that we've fixed this light bench that everyone told me was a light bench and the reason why we bottled the league. Yeah? So at the end of the day, everything ain't rosy. And people trying to say, oh, this player will come good, that player will come good. I've seen enough games from these players to see the majority of them ain't good enough. And the majority of them ain't coming off the bench to win us games. Yes, we won against Man City. We can be happy about that. Let's not forget what's happened the last couple of years with the majority of these players. They are not good enough. And I don't need to the end of the season to realize that. But if you lot need it, cool. I'm just
gonna say this. First of all, you obviously rate Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli. Those are our three starters. Behind them, I get it, but Trossard, I'm assuming you rate Trossard right away. I know Eddie Nketiah you don't rate, and I know you don't rate Reece Nelson, but we've already admitted our attack is weak. Then you go to our midfield, Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard. I'm assuming all of us rate those three guys, right? Then outside of those guys, Jorginho, Fabio Vieira, yes, it's a weak point. We acknowledge that. But this is where we need to see if we're gonna do something else in the transfer window. But personally, for me, the midfield is probably our second strongest position. Our defense, I would say, is our strongest position. We have Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba, Ben White, Trossard. Why did I say Trossard? Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Kivior, Timber. The fact that Timber is injured, it makes it look weaker than it actually is. We have squad depth a little bit more than last season. Last season, we had to play Rob Holding anytime Saliba was not available, anytime Gabriel was not available. Now we don't necessarily have to do that. Even though you might not rate Kivior, you might not rate Tomiyasu to the level that you think they are, guess what? They're serviceable backups. Backups don't always have to be this pushing for the starters. Timber came in, and he's pushing for the starters. And you want to know something? What you said about Raya and Ramsdale is an uncomfortable conversation, but I do believe, can we be honest here? One of them is leaving in January, and it's not Raya.
It doesn't matter, bro. We've got bodies. We don't have quality. This is the same problem we had last season. I don't know why we have to always make it seem like everything's amazing at Arsenal. Yeah, we've been giving players time. We've been giving players contract. We've been getting behind. Last season, 8 points clear. We gave players time, and we got behind. The majority of the fan base got behind them. What happened? Yeah, what happened? Ultimately, the quality that we're talking about wasn't there. It is not there. When you take off Odegaard and you put Fabi Vieira, there's a drop. And Odegaard ain't the level. He is not world class. When you've got Declan Rice, I'm happy. When you've got Partey, I'm happy. But then when you look at the deep line play, the deep position, the six, bro, Jorginho ain't the level. He isn't.
But guess what? Jorginho's a really good backup.
Strike force, it has not improved from last season. Our strike force has not improved. We have Nketiah and we've got Jesus. They are not clinical enough, which is why we need more. It isn't the way people see it. We are playing a striker out of position. When is our best striker, Jesus, we are playing him out of position for a lack of planning. What was the issue last season? Lack of planning.
We just played. Bro, we just played Manchester City. They had Rico Lewis and Kovacic in their midfield. If Rico
was
Lewis
the bench good enough to beat Lons? Was the bench good enough to beat Lons? Was the bench good enough to get a result against Fulham? Every game ain't gonna be City, bro. Every game ain't gonna be City. And this bench have shown me last season and the season before that they're not good enough for 38-game season. They are not good enough even in the Europa League. If people are trying to think that they were gonna win the Champions League, they weren't even good enough to win the Europa League. We are not winning. The same team ain't winning the Champions League. Because if they did, they could have proved it in the Europa League. Even a dead Man United side won in the Europa League.
But bro, one second. Northside, we're not going to win every game. We're not going to win every game. You're making
and that's why we won't win a major honor. Because we won't do it when it counts.
Bro.
Because we haven't got the talent on the bench when it counts. That is why. And nothing has changed.
I think you're over dramatizing this situation. The reality is you're making only 3 to 5 subs a game, and it's not a situation where we don't have 3 players that can impact the game. And any given moment, we have a player who can impact the game. I'm not worried about the season.
And unfortunately, I'll be right because things ain't changed.
Why do you need 2 11s? You don't need 2 11s.
Bro, I do not care. Bro, I'm happy that we beat City. Bro, Tottenham beat City. Does anyone predict that because they beat City, they're going to win the league?
No,
we do not perform the way we need to perform on a regular basis enough. And we've dropped level this season. No one's going to tell me that we haven't, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Everyone's happy and giddy because we beat Man City. They'll giddy about PSV. Did you see? Do
you not rate Tomiyasu as a backup?
Huh?
I just want to ask simple questions. Do you not rate Tomiyasu as a backup?
Tomiyasu?
Yeah.
Nah, he's all right.
Okay, so that's one. That's one. So that's one. If we need a game and we need to make a defensive change, you trust Tomiyasu coming in for Zinchenko or Ben White? Am I wrong?
No, I like the rotation of Trossard and Martinelli. I like the rotation of
so that's 2. That's 2 already. That's 2 already. If Partey is not starting, I know you're uncomfortable with the idea of Havertz or Fabio Vieira starting, but at this moment in time, that's what the manager does against smaller teams.
No, actually, that's wrong. I've actually advocated more for Fabio Vieira, a player I don't rate because his performances warrant him more starting over Havertz. I've advocated for ESR starting more than somebody like Jorginho. Them 2 players, Havertz and Jorginho, do not warrant starting.
So do you rate those players?
And Fabio Vieira this season, players I don't rate, weren't more starting. And that is where I've got an issue because where is the team selected? Is it about performances or is it favoritism? Because them 2 have shown more than the other 2.
Okay, let me ask the rest of the boys. Do you guys think Northside's 100% right that our squad depth is not good enough to compete against City? Or are you guys more on my side where you're saying, you know what, we have a relatively good enough squad depth compared to what we were last season and you think we can weather the storm?
Who's going first? Who's going first?
Go ahead, Brendan. Go ahead. Souls was late to react.
In terms of what you said about can we compete again this season? Yes, but it all depends on what we do in January. And that's a fact.
What do you want in January? I'm looking at 2 attackers. Neto and Ivan Toney.
I want 2 players minimum. Neto and Ivan Toney. In fact, in an ideal world, we could do with a 3rd as well.
That's never going to happen.
But the point is, though, Miguel, right? If we're serious this season, the football club have to show the ambition in January. And when you look at it,
Ramsdale?
Sorry,
would you sell Ramsdale to fund those transfers?
Do you know? I'm gonna have an uncomfortable conversation with the rest of you. To be fair, about Ramsdale and Raya. I don't see much difference between the 2. David Raya is probably better in terms of his distribution, but the improvement's very slight. And aside from that, I don't see any area where David Raya excels ahead of Ramsdale. So I look at them both as very formidable goalkeepers. I'd personally like to keep
have
hold of
one.
both. But
Concentration.
if it meant selling Ramsdale to fund a move for Pedro Neto and Ivan Toney, then hell yeah, get rid. Yeah, because them two players that I'm talking about could be the difference between us winning the league and not winning the league. Is Aaron Ramsdale sitting on the bench week in, week out going to be the difference between us winning the league? No, he isn't. So from that perspective, yeah. But I just look at it and I think, look, I don't care. Arsenal have got to show ambition, right? If we're serious about winning this league, we go out in January and we address our situation. And look, Ivan Toney might cost £80 million. Pedro Neto might cost £80 million. But guess what? You go out and you do it because you're a serious football club. And if that means you not having to spend in the summer, so be it. It's all about now. Yeah. And we're here, we sit here and we say, the expectation is now. Go and win the league now. And the football club have to replicate that as well. You know, they have to show that ambition as well. So I'm going to be looking to see what Arsenal can do in January. I do think we can, you know, last the course until then. But, you know, we kind of see last season, okay, we got to the last 8 games and then it all fell apart. But if we're not careful and we don't do what's required and we start to pick up injuries, because obviously the more games, the longer the season goes, the more games have been played, the more players will start to tire and get injuries and stuff like that. That's when Arsenal need to show their ambition in January. That's when Arsenal need to go, look, our squad depth, okay, some people argue it's good, some people will argue it ain't. I personally, you know, I don't see much difference between the squad depth last season and this season.
Ooh.
But, you know, it's all about, is the football club going to be ambitious enough in January to make sure we win this league or Champions League? So that's what I'm going to be looking to.
Sulz, we're going to wrap up soon. So Sulz, what are you saying, man?
It's time for the manager to trust his process. That's what I've been saying, and I'll keep saying it. Because if he wanted us to trust it, we've trusted it. We have let him ride through 2 8 finishes, 5th finish, and bottling the league. So he's done 2 bottles, and the fans have stuck with him. Well, not all, but the majority of fans have stuck with him. Despite, so far, let's be real, like, yes, we're seeing gradual progress and everything like that, but now it's time to deliver. And the reality is, this season, I'm harsher on Arteta, I'm harsher on these players, and I've been a lot more critical because there's no goddamn excuses. This is your squad, whether you bought the players, whether you gave them new contracts, or you gave them new shirt numbers that mean big things at this club. You gave Nketiah the number 14, you gave Bukayo Saka the number 7, and you gave ESR the number 10. So you made big calls there. Now it's time for you to trust those players. It's time for you to trust your squad that you've built in your image, that you had the opportunity to go buy these players. You spent 65 million on Kai Havertz when you could have got James Maddison and Kudus for about 10 million more. So that's your decision. So you could have allocated those funds better. We now know he has got a say in transfers. We now know that this isn't just Edu buying players. This is Arteta, the Cronkies, and Edu going out and making these signings happen. Whether you get your plan A or you get your plan B, there still should be adequate enough to actually go and do what you need to do. If you're going to keep playing these players into the ground, injuries this season, I couldn't give a shit, because you should have had the backups. You should have had the players in, because you've spent big. We've spent £150 million each transfer in the summer transfer windows since he's come in. We've spent £105 million on a DM. If you thought, yes, Declan Rice, amazing player, but if you sit there and go, we've got bigger problems than spending £100 million on one player, you go and you have your talent ID and you go and identify a player that's going to cost you less and go and actually use the resources you have. And if that's the case and you wanted to spend it on £105 million on one player, that's now showing me you've got the luxuries to go and get level raises and you're not bothered about your depth. That means you trust your squad. That shows to me you're happy with where your 25-man squad is, and now all you want to do is fill the missing pieces. You only do that once you're happy with what you have. You don't do that when you've got big gaping holes in your squad. So, like he said to us when he first came in, trust the process. Now the fans need to demand, do you trust the process? And that's what I want to see. Because we can talk about January. We can talk about.
Are you saying we didn't need Rice?
No. This is what I mean. This is why you said, when I said Arteta, I'd never said that. What I'm saying is, if you think there's bigger problems in the squad and the depth of the squad, and you don't trust certain positions. You don't trust ESR. You don't trust Fabio Vieira. You don't trust Reece Nelson. You don't trust Eddie Nketiah. You don't have the luxury nor the facilities to buy £105 million on a single signing. That's when you have to be smart and you do what you did when you first came in, when you spent lesser money on the likes of Ramsdale, when you bought in like 5-6 players of good quality to do what you needed to do. You don't have the facilities to go and spend it on one player. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the same way that Brighton do it. They do it in a low budget and they're able to get quality. And spot on what you said. Why can you just get Basuma and Maddison? Maddison is better than Fabio Vieira, and Basuma can do the job of Rice. Even if you're going with Partey, you've got adequate rotation. Absolutely spot on. And this is why I keep my neck on the foot of this club, because I'm not having it anymore. There comes a time, like you just said, Sulz, perfectly. We now want results. We now have results. We went from when Arteta came in, we were Kroenke's out, Kroenke's. We don't even talk about them no more. Because what are we going to point at them? They're backing you even when they're not completely convinced on certain signings, like Havertz. So how much longer do you need? We've gone from wanting the manager out and the owner out to now only wanting the, putting it solely on the owner, on the manager, because the owner is backing you. It's time to deliver. While we've had Arteta, we've missed out on. These are managers we could have went for. Not saying we're going to get them all. We could have. We could have went for Klopp, Pep. We could have went for Mancini. We could have went for Ancelotti when he went to Everton. No one is
talking about sacking Arsene Wenger, right?
Ancelotti will not come to Arsenal, but he would rather go to Everton if we were in for him. He's a world-class manager. And what was the smugness from the fans? Oh, we don't want Ancelotti. He's gone Everton. He's finished. Yeah. These are the managers we're missing out. So the longer we take, top managers we're missing out on. This manager's got to deliver.
Yo, guys, I gotta wrap it up. The wife, I gotta do daddy duties, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. Big up Brendan for jumping on. Big up Northside for jumping on. I'm gonna be on Northside's channel tomorrow. Big up my guy Gunnar Sulz. You guys already know daddy duties. The two of them got kids right now.
The wife's doing this.
Yeah. She's like get she walked into the room like the Incredible Hulk. Anyways, let's get this show going. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. I'm not even gonna do predictions for this and stuff. Hopefully we go on to win the league. You can tell by these guys, they're quite concerned. They're not gonna say that yet. But guess what? When we come back in January and we're still top of the table, we'll talk then.